Hey, this is the Nature Boy Ric Flair, and believe it or not, whether you like it or don't like it, learn to love it, because you have to listen to Wrestling is Real. It is the best thing going today. Woo!
The worldwide leader of podcasting excellence, the king of podcasts radio network proudly presents The Wrestling is Real podcast, because wrestling needs us.
And welcome, King of Podcasts, here with you, another Wrestling Go Through Podcasts. KingofPodcasts.com is the website, and of course you find all my programming right here. I do other shows throughout the week. I hope you get a chance to catch them, which is the Brave and Debaucherous, the Broadcasters Podcast, and I'll be doing more episodes of Podcasters Row in upcoming weeks as I am scheduling them up front. So we got some more people that decided to go and come on board, so we're going to talk about that. But anyway, we're 3 weeks or so from WrestleMania? And we have 6 matches now set up. All the titles are basically up on the line and set up, more or less. A little more than 3 weeks, and it's more definitive than ever. And I just had to call it out as it is. The glass ceiling. A WrestleMania glass ceiling. Now, we talk about where WrestleMania season, there are certain stars that are going to get their chance to be brought up here. Really, let's look at the difference with what we've seen. The WrestleMania buildup is, that's not a Vince McMahon influenced or led WrestleMania buildup versus what Triple H has been doing. Okay, this is really where Triple H has had the full year of controlling exactly how WrestleMania was going to play out. So everything with the first 2 matches we already know, with where we know that Cody Rhodes and Roman Reigns are set to go ahead and tag with each other against the Bloodline. We know that. We also know that Drew McIntyre, Seth Rollins, and Rollins are going to be for the World Heavyweight title. Roman and Cody will then also have their match for the undisputed WWE Universal Championship. That's all those right there, pretty prominent. Now, especially with anything with Bloodline, Cody, Seth, all that's been wonderful. Cody and Seth obviously have a history. This is a makeshift because Drew and CM Punk more than likely would have been the match to have. And who knows who Seth Rollins would have had as an opponent. But Drew McIntyre here explaining how he wants to go and get back to where he was with the crowd, getting the belt. That all makes sense. Listen, those 3 matches right there, solid. After that, we go into the other title matches. On the women's side, okay, nothing at all bad to say about the story with Bayley and Io Sky when it comes to just looking at what the Damage Control faction, Bayley creating it, and Bayley getting kicked out of her own faction. The whole story behind that. Becky Lynch's return to glory, taking on Rhea Ripley, who is the hottest women's star right now in the company. And then 2 more matches they added on Monday night, which, it's the glass ceiling in full force. Listen, are we going to get the Andre the Giant Memorial Battle Royal that's going to bring a lot of people a chance to go ahead and be featured on WrestleMania? Because it's one thing to be on the WrestleMania card and get a chance to be on it and get a payday. Okay, that's one thing. But it's another about what the match is supposed to be, more importantly, from stars that you would think they look to see about having a future in the main event. Because I wonder if the people in this company are mattering about trying to have that edge of going to try to break the glass thing for themselves. The glass ceiling being this. It used to be getting favor of Vince McMahon. Now it's more of a committee. It's as if Triple H's mindset, it's not the way that Vince McMahon would do. Because, Vince McMahon would take risks on stars, younger. Triple H doesn't do that. Now, Triple H, as we have mentioned since SummerSlam of 2 years ago, when he got a chance to go and start running the books himself, we didn't say anything bad about the fact that, okay, the mid-card got a jump. But the mid-card is still the same. Now, sure, they get a little more time. They might get some little more storyline material to work with. Yeah. But what have they really gotten when it comes to WrestleMania? Okay. The storylines that we're getting here, it doesn't really matter because the matches are being put together, all right, for the Intercontinental title. As we always talk about, there's like 4 storylines per WrestleMania that get the most play. So I guess what? Seth and Drew will get that. And then anything with the bloodline has multiple arcs within it. And then Io Sky and Bayley and Rhea Ripley and Becky Lynch. But then everything else, those are your more or less the 4 storylines with one main event storyline that intertwines with several different angles in between. Because you have the conflict between Rock and Roman, the conflict between Seth and Cody, which was positioned on Monday night with Michael Cole talking to Cody Rhodes. That's great. And of course, I understand you can't get every storyline to do that all the time. You know, that's probably asking for too much. Fine. But what we have right now, the next 2 matches we're going to talk about. So the IC title. And for how many days right now does Gunther have this belt? How long has he held this on at the moment? It's coming up on 600 days. Let me just double check and make sure what the reign is right now, currently. Because this is not a thing where we had, you know, multiple tournaments and who's been champion and this and that. Gunther right now is over 640 days. If he wins, he will probably surpass 2 years as champion. And think about the legacy of the Intercontinental title. Okay, he has gotten a longer continuous reign than Pedro Morales, the Magnificent Morocco, Randy Savage, the Honky Tonk Man. Think about it like that. Pedro Morales had it for 619 days, over 2 reigns, and that record was held for 41 years until Gunther. So I want everyone to try to understand this here. Does Gunther's title reign, does it feel that significant? Because when you think about it, I mean, yeah, he's beaten a lot of people. Whoever there was in his way that he won, right? But I want to just put it like this. When you have the gauntlet match that they put out for him, and they decided, we're just going to make an episode about it. That's it. We're just going to put an episode out. And that's going to encompass, you know, the night, and particularly the main event, right? So the main event is consumed to this, and let's go from here. So gauntlet match, you first of all have Ricochet and Gina McDonough. 2 people that I don't care to go and see either one of them in this IC title feud against Gunther. Now, listen, Ricochet was an IC champion, but the way you position this title, it's the way that Roman Reigns has positioned that title, the Universal Championship. It's a different story. So now, Ricochet and Jenny McDonough. Yeah, early on, I don't see... There's nothing feasible that makes me feel like that either of these 2 would be WrestleMania caliber opponents or contenders. Then Bronson Reed shows up. And Bronson Reed wins. And I'm like, no, Bronson Reed... And I'm not going to go ahead and, you know, disparage the fact that I'm sorry to hear about, you know, the tragedy in his family. That's fine. I understand that part. We're talking about in the ring. We're talking about what he's done. What has he done? What would be the thought process where he's become such a strong contender at this point coming back? I mean, he's gotten bigger. He's not in as great a shape as he once was before. He's always been a big guy, but like it looks like he has lost a step or 2. And he hasn't come back the same way. I don't know what it is, but there's something that just doesn't feel right. Or I don't see him. When I see Bronson Reed coming up on my TV in an upcoming match, I flip the channel. I'm just not interested. We have enough big guys out there. But the more important thing is when you're going to see these matches here. Okay, we're going to see these matches right here. All these stars Now, think about it like this. If we saw them in other organizations, we know that the move sets would be not so constricted. They wouldn't be so regulated. And it wouldn't feel so saccharine, so basic. But I'm going to call it as it is. When you watch WWE matches, and of course they can't, the no-sell stuff that Gunther does, or, the other, things we might, certain moves out there, but it's going to be within the threshold, within the filter of what WWE allows. Okay, we're not going to see anything that Dave Meltzer is going to call a 5-star match unless it's the emotion, unless there is a storyline that goes with it. Because WWE is not going to allow certain moves or certain things where these stars are going to go out there and just do what they want. Maybe they get a little bit of that going on in NXT, probably. Because NXT, there's not the word. But in WWE, no, they have to keep it within a certain vibe, a certain moveset. And all these stars have to have their certain moves in play. Okay, with Sami Zayn and Shinsuke Nakamura, they were part in the gauntlet. And to see those two together, NXT was a different story. And Shinsuke coming fresh out of New Japan, and him and Sami Zayn were just going at it. It was an indie style match. Okay, nothing where you felt like, oh, there's something weird about it. No, that there were going to be limitations on what they were going to be able to do. Sami Zayn, Shinsuke Nakamura, show me the match they did in NXT, 10 years ago, and tell me the difference of what it is now. Of course, you could say, Sami Zayn obviously still has the glow of being a part of the honorary member of the bloodline, and his association with Kevin Owens that has always kept him as a very star, very near the main event. Same thing with Jey Uso, that they can always be right near the main event. That they are the upper mid card, they're going to get the big pops, they're going to get the chance because they have their interests the way they do, right? And they all have that. That's what encompasses the upper mid card. So you have that part. But what Triple H is booking like, it feels no different than what a Kevin Sullivan would do, what a Kevin Nash would do. Or even what, I don't know, almost like a Bill Watts would almost do a little bit. Like it just felt like, but Bill Watts is much more militant, much more old school. I mean, Triple H, I'll give him credit. He is a little bit more in line with the times, but his mentality of who to book and who's going to go over is still the kind of the same thing. I do think in this year, it will be the year that Cody will get the comeuppance and he'll get to finish the story, and Cody will run as a babyface champion for however long it is. It doesn't matter how long that title run is, because of the fact that if he wins it, that's what matters. And then, yeah, maybe there'll be a difference on how the belt's going to be done, because, the prestige of Roman Reigns holding on to that belt passes on to Cody Rhodes. And as long as they book him in a way where Cody Rhodes has a strong, significant reign after such a long reign by Roman Reigns, then maybe you're going to be able to keep that prestige up. But I don't know if they're going to be able to do that. Because I think you could definitely make the case that the Universal Championship, you need to make that so prestigious, and that's not a belt that gets defended all the time. It should be special. It shouldn't be every month, just like one run of the month. Here comes a pay-per-view. Okay, put the title up on the line against somebody. Okay? We don't need to do that. But we're looking at the stars we have here that are potentially, the caliber of opponent that is WrestleMania worthy of a of a significant title in the company, because it has been built up with Gunther to be so big, such a big deal right now. Then you get the Sami Zayn and Chad Gable. And Chad Gable would be the people's favorite. But that's because they want to do the Daniel Bryan thing. Okay, he's the undersized. He's the guy that, he wrestles so well. He deserves a shot. It doesn't work like that. It doesn't go like that. You have to realize it doesn't going to go and just say that, that Chad Gable, because of what he's done, they shortchanged him. The Shorty G stuff. Come on. They've screwed this guy over. And every time he's been thrown down with some bullshit gimmick, he finds a way around. Alpha Academy, he turned it into something. Sheesh, right? All of that. He turned it into something and it worked. And at least it's something that people on TV, they enjoy. They enjoy seeing Maxie Dupree doing the worm. They enjoy Otis out there just playing the back end, because he used to be somebody who was more important, but now he's just a player, just a cog. And Chad Gable's the attraction for that group because of his wrestling. And for all the times he's been out there, out there with Jason Jordan, or out there on his own, the Shorty G thing after that. I think all this kind of stuff going on. It's crazy. And it's like, what else are we going to do? But now we're at the point where, all right, Sami Zayn ends up being the one getting the IC title shot. Now, if I'm correct, I believe that Gunther already had beaten Sami Zayn for said IC title, or they've already had wrestled matches. But, now you're going to have this, but there's not much of the change when it comes to what they've set up with Sami Zayn coming in and getting this title shot. There's no storyline to it. The IC title. Because they don't believe in Gunther in some significant storyline. Okay? They don't believe in him in sustaining some long-term storyline where he has to go and do a lot of promo talking, or we have to do a lot of setup for them. The Imperium stuff, they were doing all that stuff extensively in NXT, but they can't do it on the main roster because of the way it's been set. And the culture and the way that the audience is going to take, they're going to think of some European catch-as-catch-can world of sport type of feel to this, the strong style. They're not going to attract to that. They're not necessarily going to attract to Japanese, strong style wrestling out of New Japan, or what you would see out of CMLL or AAA in Mexico, the luchadors. You don't see any of that. And that's the part where it's looked down upon because it's not WWE style. And Gunther's style of wrestling, he overshadows because of the fact that, listen, the guy has presence. He looks like the it. He has it factor. He has the it factor. He's done a great job of getting himself in incredible shape. Okay. He would be a big star anywhere else. And he's been positioned pretty well in this company. To give the credit to Vince McMahon, also positioned him well by having him as the IC title and holding on to that belt for so long. We will all say that Gunther's had some great matches. Clash at the Castle, him, and Sheamus. Man, we'll never forget that. Never forget that. And, the fact that Gunther was never going to be considered an opponent for the World Heavyweight title. Even though you could say, listen, they've never done option C, right? Where in NWA, they've done where the national champion has put his belt aside to go up against the World Heavyweight champion. EC3 did that. It's been done many times in TNA. Pick the names, Austin Aries or Chris Sabin or whoever, that they've all cashed in option C, right? And they go ahead, I'm going to vacate this title to go up. Samoa Joe. Let's not forget, Samoa Joe was TNT champion, vacates to go up and beat MJF for the World Heavyweight title. At this point, if you feel like there's not much, there's a bit of a threshold, there's a bit of a ceiling there, then why not have Gunther go up and upgrade? Because I'll be honest, Gunther could have vacated, let the title go. And if you want to have something where you have another IC title tournament and go along, does Gunther need to be that? I would say it would be a great story to push Gunther if he vacated 640 days in. It's like, okay, I've dominated. Nobody's going to beat me. I'm going to let it go because I'm going to risk everything to take on Seth Rollins. Now tell me that would have been a better match than Seth Rollins and Drew McIntyre. Because I would have been excited about that. And then you let the vacant IC title go in. And maybe you don't have to do and you could have done something where he had, one more match, finishes up, and then he vacates. And then he sets up, I'm going to take on the World Heavyweight Champion. Because, okay, after Cody Rhodes wins the Rumble, he makes his choice. Then Seth is just sitting back here. But the thing is that Seth, they need to go ahead and keep him where he is right now, focused on the storyline with Cody and the Bloodline. So that's the reason why. Because obviously Seth and Cody are going to have something with each other down the line somewhere, wherever that's going to be. I got that. We don't know what's going to be. We don't know who's going to screw who, but that's going to happen to somebody. And I do believe Seth Rollins is going to screw over Cody Rhodes. They're making it so obvious. Or maybe it's going to be a swerve. I don't know. But, and Cody did a great job explaining and making people believe. I really, he's not being an idiot for trusting in Seth. The story they played out for it is fine. I understand what they're trying to do. I don't have a problem with that. And the truth is, you want to have Drew McIntyre in the mix, then you know what? The IC title, you could have had it vacated, make it a fatal 4-way. And let me tell you like this. Then I would have booked it as this. Sami Zayn, right? Sami Zayn, Shinsuke Nakamura, Chad Gable, and Drew McIntyre. Fatal 4-way. Fatal 4-way for the vacant Intercontinental Championship. And Gunther vacating the title to step up against Seth Rollins. Because then you're adding the prestige to the IC title, which Gunther is already above the IC title. He's more than above it now. It's time to get him to a main event title and time to get the belt, even if he doesn't win. But I would absolutely like to see Gunther and Seth Rollins. That would have been the better choice for me. But Seth Rollins is included in the storyline with the Bloodline, and it, all the sense in the world makes it a point. Because Seth should have got, and Michael Cole, for the credit, points out Seth Rollins is the last person to pin Roman Reigns and actually win a match, but he got disqualified. Fine. But Seth Rollins won. And then on top of that, Seth Rollins' history with the Shield. So you embed that storyline in here. You could have split it up. You could have split it up after that. But no, you had to do it then because Roman Reigns right now is going to come from two fronts. Like Cody's going to finish his story in the second year of trying to win the title and live up to his daddy's name. Seth is going to come in a united front to make sure Roman goes down because he feels responsible for it. And he still has a vendetta against Roman and the Bloodline, for that matter. So that's all fine and good. And remember the IC title, we could have other people from the other shows come on. Let me tell you this. Why not have LA Knight or Santos Escobar or Rey Mysterio? You could have some of those stars go after that IC title instead. If we're going to do something with it. But they're going to do something with the tag team titles, right? And I hate what they're going to do with it. I get it. I understand why, but I do hate it. So anyway, my point is, Gunther, Seth Rollins would have been the better choice. If we could have had that. I understand why they didn't do it, but I would have sidetracked Seth Rollins off of all that. Because I don't think you're going to have the time. There's not going to be enough time needed or that you could have for Seth Rollins' story to play out against Roman Reigns. As long as he has the bloodline on him. The only person that does is Cody Rhodes. And dealing with his stuff with The Rock and Roman Reigns, different story. So that's what I see of that. So let's talk about this ladder match. A 6-pack ladder match. And what's the chance we're going to have some makeshift teams come on board? So listen, Usos are not together. we don't have, well, let's see right now. Kevin Owens is not going to have Sami Zayn. Like, you have some names on the roster that you're going to ask yourself, okay, who's going to be paired together in that tag team championship match against Judgment Day? 5 other teams. And they have to figure that out in the next 3 weeks. It's makeshift. There's no storyline to this. Judgment Day just happens to have these belts, and that's it. And this is how they're going to put the tag team titles on the line. So this is participation. And by the way, Damian Priest still holds this Money in the Bank briefcase. What is he going to do with that? I mean, has anybody even considered the fact that we're going to run out of time and Damian Priest has not cashed in his briefcase? Not even an attempt, right? Like, when's the last time he attempted to be senior Money in the Bank and cash in? Hasn't. We're not even at that point yet. And they're not going to do anything with it because they're leaving him in this tag team title feud for whatever reason. And this is a storyline I don't get. I don't understand why they want to go this route. Like I said, Gunther and Sami Zayn, that's going to be a fine match. But there is nothing that makes me feel like Sami Zayn is going to beat Gunther and take over after the 675 some odd days reign as Intercontinental Champion. Sami Zayn is the one that you expect to be the new IC champion after that lengthy run by Gunther? Like, really? Am I right? Didn't Asuka, was it Asuka that dropped, that vacated herself as well to move to a world title? I forget it. Maybe I'm just completely off the line, but I'm just saying the precedent's out there in wrestling in general. And if you want Gunther to get over big, like, here's the thing too, with Samoa Joe right now as world heavyweight champion at AEW, I never really had the thought process that Samoa Joe will be a champion again. I didn't know how effective a champion he would be. But ever since MJF has stepped away, Samoa Joe's been in a great position right now with the conflict with Adam Page and Swerve Strickland. Right now, Swerve Strickland is going to be destined to go after Samoa Joe at Dynasty in a few weeks. And I'm like, damn, that's working. That's great. I love the story. And to think back that, Samoa Joe, how did he earn that spot? Because he put the damn title on, he vacated the title, was destined to go ahead and go after MJF, and he did. He finally got a chance to go after MJF. Became a contender. And the rest is history. And Samoa Joe's had a very good run as champion. They did the deal with Wardlow where he won what was supposed to be called Meat Madness, and they called it the All-Star Scramble. So Wardlow wins. Week and a half later, after being announced the week before, Wardlow taking on Samoa Joe in Boston, AW Big Business, and Samoa Joe wins. And a very good match with Wardlow. And the way they set it up, that Samoa Joe has that coquina clutch, and nobody's getting out of that. And it's such a strong, well-protected move. And Samoa Joe, he is so much, at his veteran state, his promos are really pretty good. Really pretty good. And he can go out there, he can talk shit, and he can just cut the promo he needs to cut like that. And that is bread and butter Samoa Joe. And that's good. It's really good. And pairing him up with the likes of Swerve Strickland and Adam Page, and the way they set it up, love it. But also we know that at any time Samoa Joe could be taken by somebody for that title. I think it'll be Swerve. I do think so. But for me, the move up, the vacating of the title, said a lot to me right there. Because of the fact that Samoa Joe, I would have never put in that position, but then when he vacates and says, I'm going after the World Heavyweight title. Oh. And he wins. Oh. Like, I have a different look at Samoa Joe because I almost kind of thought like Samoa Joe was like past the prime on getting the chance to be the champion, be the head guy, and be the top guy. I didn't think that. But what they did in storyline, to Tony Khan's credit, you could have, it's in WWE, Samoa Joe wouldn't have gotten that chance. In TNA, sure. Most other places, Samoa Joe would have gotten the chance to be a champion, right? Because of the fact that he's the veteran, he's at level, he's so recognizable, this and that. But we know there's a lot of stars that AEW has right now that are, they don't have much of a glass ceiling. They have a lot of stars that are a bunch of free agents they brought on board, plus their originals, and they're positioned at a level where they could all pretty easily make their way up to the main event. Darby Allin could do that. I mean, you have all the mainstays right now they feel like they could always be to the main event. They could make something in a matter of time, make them to the main event. You could get them polished up to get there. Like, for instance, I feel like at any time you could get Pac up there, you could get Malachi Black up there, you could get, Eddie Kingston up there. There's a lot of names you can think of. Swerve Strickland's already up there now. Adam Page has been up there. Adam Cole, once he gets himself healthy, is obviously up there. There's just a lot of names that I look at right now that I don't feel like they're being held back. And I think it's just, when is the time to go ahead and put the storyline together to bring up that main event? Like, there's a lot of names for Tony Khan to choose from because of how they've been built up and somewhat kept with very strong records. Because the win-loss records have meant something. The rankings, when they did it, have meant something. They were significant. And none of that, parody booking, none of that. Like, we don't want a bunch of mediocres that could just beat each other all at the same time. No, we want those that are just that there's an upper tier. And there are others that will be able to make to that upper tier after a matter of time. Because MJF, Darby Allin, Jungle Boy to a point, they were not at that level. Sammy Guevara has only hurt himself with some botches, with some off stage stuff, all of that. Like, there have been a couple of stars that just, they kind of hurt themselves. Even in the tag team division, when you look at the Acclaimed, or you look at FTR, and some of the other stars they have over there, but like, it's a different environment there. And AEW, you have creativity, you have some freedom in the moves in the matches. And you can see a lot of creative stuff going on in their matches as well. Meanwhile, WWE is restricted, it's limited, and there is a ceiling on who is deemed main event worthy, or WrestleMania worthy for that matter. Because of the names you have right now that are even mentioned, 3 weeks before Philadelphia comes up, 2 nights of shows. Look at the names you have right now on the marquee at the moment. So Rock, Roman Reigns, Cody Rhodes, Seth freaking Rollins. And then you go down the list and then go into Rhea Ripley, Becky Lynch, Io Sky Bailey. And then you step down another notch after that, after the singles title holders, to Gunther, Sami Zayn, Finn Balor, Damian Priest. And of course, there are other names that can be added to the mix. We know. And the only other ones that could also be put up into that main event ceiling is if John Cena were to come back and he's not, just using an envelope just to cover himself. Whatever what happened to the Oscars, that he had to go ahead and go out there all naked. Like, what did he do wrong that he was forced to go to the Oscars and go out there like a streaker? What did he do wrong? Oof. I don't even want to know, but like, I felt bad for John Cena because I felt like he was pressured out there to do that. I don't think that's something he would do, but he was made to go out there to, be a joke, to be the court jester. And I feel bad that's for John Cena. He's an action star. He shouldn't be thrown in like this. The Ricky Stinicky stuff. Yeah, I get he's trying to be the funny guy and whatever. And like, it's the physical humor, but I mean, still, I don't like the fact that they put him like this. But anyway, that's neither here nor there. Randy Orton, we know we can always see him up towards that level. Drew McIntyre, that's why he's up where he's at. Kevin Owens could always be near the top again. They could always find a way to, shine him up and get him back up there. But how many others that were in that title picture and then went away? Because remember, Kevin Owens was in the title run, and he had himself at the very top, and he drops off. Shinsuke Nakamura got a lot of headwinds, but they push him back. Put him near the main event. Let's put him in programs where he's going after the title. Doesn't win. But that glass ceiling is real. For some of the stars right now, it's like how Stone Cold Steve Austin said. If you're not in the company to be the World Heavyweight Champion, to not be holding the belt that Seth Rollins, Roman Reigns, Io Sky, Rhea Ripley, and I'll put Gunther in that mix, or Logan Paul up in that mix. You're telling me that all these stars right here, you're not going to get them involved? You're not going to get anything? Like, here's the other thing. Where's Logan Paul and U.S. title opponent? Where's that? Like, I'm expecting it's supposed to be Randy Orton. Like, they should be setting that up this weekend. By the time I go ahead and finish this broadcast and film you listen to it and download it, I would expect that they're already going to have that happen, right? I don't know. But these are the things I think about a lot. And I'm going to say to myself, they don't have a real answer for this. And here's the thing. We talked about some of the stars they brought on board coming into SmackDown, right? I mean, I think Tiffany Stratton absolutely has the opportunity. She'll get that chance to be at that upper echelon. There's just, everything just says, she screams it girl. She screams, she's a top star. She looks the part. I mean, I look now, and by the way, for the credit, Nia Jax or Leela Fanan, like if you see the TikTok videos, when they're all together doing TikToks, they're hilarious, by the way. All right. I think Tiffany Stratton does a great job on TikTok. I enjoy her stuff. Leela Fanan on TikTok, excellent. She's funny. And the thing is, and then also say every time they want to throw Shayna Baszler in the mix, and just like, yeah, it's funny, it's good. And it's a shame that it's like there's not more to it. But, there's got to be something where, I mean, you can't recreate what Matt Cardona formerly doing the Zack Ryder stuff. I don't think you're going to get that genie in a bottle again. I don't think you're going to see that. Another Daniel Bryan is going to get such a call to be pushed up there. Like, listen, LA Knight got a little bit of that Daniel Bryan kind of feel to it, right? Push him, do something with him. And they did. They gave him a title shot against Roman Reigns at Crown Jewel. And where's LA Knight been? He still gets the pop, but he's not doing anything more now. LA Knight's basically in the same spot. And good for him because he doesn't do anything else either. Let me tell you another story. All right. Out of all the stuff that we're doing with, let's say, everything that we're doing with Bobby Lashley and Karrion Kross, they've kind of taken some time to build a little bit of interest. They put some promos together. They're not even on the card. They're an afterthought. And Bobby Lashley could always be shined back up to the world title. Anytime. But he's here with Karrion Kross in the New Testament. The New Testament, okay. Does the New Testament get a match? Or are they going to be in that, ladder match? Are we going to see that crossover for them? I'm wondering if they're going to do that, but think about that. Austin Theory, Grayson Waller. Do you think the glass ceiling does not apply to them? Of course it does. Of course it does. So I don't know what they're going to think about that, but that's the other part too. And then we had Dakota Kai turning now, the complete turn of damage control on Bayley. And Bayley says that, she used her history against us. She used me and tricked me and I fell for it. Talked about how she made some enemies in a few years. And some of the stuff I did was because I like the attention. I was trying to get to the top, but I did it for Io and Dakota. Now, the Bayley heel turn, which is no longer the heel turn, Bayley is now face. But she has kept the persona that she has created from the heel persona. So her character evolved. Now, among the things I watched of highlights from this week and wrestling was NXT. And looking at two of the clips they made a point to watch, because like I said, I am not watching NXT. I keep up a little bit here and there to know what's going on. And I look at the fact that now, Trick Williams and Carmelo Hayes, the falling out with them. And Trick Williams is not a good promo. I mean, that crowd at the Performance Center is eating it up. But it's like, yeah, you're praising a guy that, put him in another company. If he's cutting promos like that, he's not doing well. Trick Williams. Listen, I've heard people better cutting promos in NWA than Trick Williams. Are you kidding me? Trick Williams? You can give me Thrillbilly Solace Mason, who could probably do a better promo cutting than Trick Williams. There's a lot of people we could put in line. How many people could do a better job cutting promos than Trick Williams? Alexander Hammerstone, now he's in TNA, formerly MLW. Jacob Fatu could run circles over Trick Williams. All right. I mean, I get it, but you know what? You're going to hate me for saying this. You're going to hate this. Trick Williams is Matt Morgan. I said it. Remember when AJ Styles had his bodyguard? Matt Morgan was it. That's it. It's right there. That's the storyline they basically went with. And then Matt Morgan became the blueprint. And even Matt Morgan, the guy had a physique like an Adonis. The guy was pretty good in the ring. Wasn't a great promo cutter. Was not that good. But he wasn't bad in the ring. Give him somebody to be his mouthpiece. Would have been just fine. Well, no, not bodyguard for AJ Styles, more or less, but he was like the backup for Jim Cornette. And wasn't it Matt Morgan as long with AJ Styles? Wasn't it for a while? I know AJ had Tyrus and all, but Tyrus was with Eli Drake, right? Oh no, EC3. Man, I'm getting all this stuff confused. I don't go back and tracking a lot of wrestling, and I'm not going to go back and try to look for the information on it. Okay. If I fumble it, I fumble it. You want to write to me about it? Feel free. You want to drop something in the YouTube comments? Yeah, go right ahead. I did it. I'm not going to go ahead and try to get here and try to go and please the audience here and try to be so accurate and correct. I'm doing the best I can with what I know. And I'm sure other wrestling fans out there could do the same thing. Will have the same to do. They also might fumble a little bit of information here, a little bit of history, because that's just what we do. All right. That's what I look at overall. So for me, and by the way, Bianca Belair not even being part in all this, and Naomi, so far, we're waiting to see what they're going to be doing in terms of being involved in WrestleMania. Let's get that going. And remember, when it comes down to it, who's going to get that main event spot? That last spot on SmackDown is very significantly important. Not just anybody's going to get that, especially during WrestleMania season. No, Roman and Rock. A lot of time. And another fantastic promo work by The Rock with all those guys in the ring. Fantastic. Love it, love it, love it. I'm not going to go and play all the clips of The Rock again, but again, masterclass. Masterclass. Always. Sure, Rollins came in here. Hey, shut up. You had your time. You can't have ours. It's fine as the whole babyface thing. He has to come back and do something. It's not very formidable, but at least he tries. I'll give him that. But that's where we're at. So a few more things I'm going to bring up before we wrap up the show tonight. We'll wrap it up a little early. So, new word right now that WrestleMania 40's pre-show will start at 5 p.m. The main card will start at 7 p.m. And Money in the Bank will also be a 7 p.m. start. So, for whatever reason, PW Insider is reporting that they might be moving their live events back to 7 o'clock. Probably not a bad idea if they decide to do that. Probably not a bad idea if they decide to do that after all. So there's a lot riding for WrestleMania. And remember, if they're not going to have The Rock and Roman Reigns out there, and they're going to have to go with Cody, Seth, Drew McIntyre, they got to go with LA Knight or Randy Orton. Like, how many main event stars are you going to have that are above the ceiling that are going to make up for all that star power, right? To go ahead after WrestleMania 40 and have Backlash in France, Money in the Bank in Toronto, SummerSlam, Cleveland Brown Stadium in Cleveland, Ohio, the Bash in Berlin, where they do 2 shows in August. Think about it like that and ask yourself the question. Like, it's very difficult. Let's bring a little bit of AEW right now, where we know that Mercedes Moné mostly was going to be appearing because it's Boston, and they put some pretty good matches together tonight to go and get things set up. And I must say, the setup for Mercedes Moné, the CEO line, that chant getting over, that was pretty big. That helped a lot. Mercedes Moné, she has been getting some mixed reactions about her promo coming into AEW tonight. We'll play it. So she's back with Boston in the crowd, right? Moving along.
But first and foremost, that's the first thing I want to say is thank you.
Moving along. Super Baby's pretty
And trust me, we are going to be creating so much magic and so many moments together. Because every single one of you, you are the reason that I am here.
There's one thing to be said about how long it took for her to get back into another company within America.
Thank you.
Unless you were really paying attention to her working in New Japan. Just saying.
Tonight means to me. How much this means to me. How much wrestling means to me.
So, 2.5 minutes in.
See, in so many ways, wrestling has changed and saved my life.
Well, we know about the stories.
Wrestling has given me hopes. It has given me a place to dream. And people and legendary people like Eddie Guerrero gave me a place that I can believe that I can do this one day too.
We've all heard this before.
I love you, Joshua. And then those dreams at 18 years old and only 90 pounds took me to North Andover, Massachusetts, to a place called Chaotic Wrestling, where I began my dream. And that dream to become the greatest women's wrestler of all time. And I want you guys to know, if I can do it, you can do it too.
Super babyface, very generic, but I mean,
so let's
heartfelt.
get down to business, huh?
Now we get 1 minute left to get into the issue
You
promo.
want to know why I'm here? Because I need to be here. I want to be here. AEW is the only place where this revolution can be global. and we are going to make that happen. You see, I've been watching week upon week upon week, and everybody in that locker room, ooh, I can't wait to tear it up with every single one of you. But let's start with our main event tonight, Rio.
Now, here's the thing. Willow Nightingale and Riho face each other. Very good match, obviously. Willow getting over Riho, the point that Riho is the first ever women's champion. They make that point. Riho barely gets beaten, but Willow gets a chance to beat her. And then Mercedes Moné is confronted by Julia Hart because Mercedes Moné comes out for the save on Willow Nightingale after getting attacked by Julia Hart and Sky Blue. By the way, I feel like, I know I haven't caught Collision as much as I wanted to because it's just Saturday nights are just such a bad night. But with the House of Black, it is Julia Hart and Sky Blue. That's the center attractions right now, to me anyway. And they've been up at it. And Julia Hart been doing great out there, working all this as of late. And for me, Britt Baker could come back right now, and we could see a dream match between Mercedes Moné and Britt Baker. We could see that. Or Saraya come back in and go up against Mercedes Moné. We have a lot of that. So the promos, okay. But it's more the work. I mean, she looks great. The crowd is into the whole CEO thing, so she's over. It's going to be hard for her not to get over in this company. So we'll wait and find out what they're going to do with her anyway coming up. All right, we're going to leave it there. We're going to keep it a little bit tight and, not go farther than normal tonight. I don't need to get to an hour if I'm kind of just at my point of where I want to go and be. So we'll leave it there. That's the show for tonight. Thanks for listening in. As you always do, kingofpodcasts.com is where you find all my content. And of course, you can find everything about me going on within social media, X, now Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, as long as it's not banned, Threads, LinkedIn, and so much more. Come back for another Wrestling is Real podcast because wrestling needs us.